Testing. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Would you please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Here.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Here.
Councilman Dooley?
Here.
Councilman Marcocia?
Here.
Supervisor Calavita?
Here. Good evening, everyone. We have our opportunity to address the board on a specific agenda item. Anybody? All right, there being none, we'll move on. Approval of the minutes of the October 17th, 2023 meeting. Any proposed amendments or modifications? There being none, someone care to make a motion to approve same?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcocia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next on correspondence, our reports of departments, boards, and commissions. We have the Law Department report. Mr. Rader?
Yes, good evening. I have a resolution authorizing the approval of an application for a parade and a special event permit submitted by the Albanian American Club of Westchester, and the parade and the special event will be held on November 26, 2023, and a special event will be held at the Lake Isle Community Center.
Sure, that's a Sunday, and it'll be for just a short period of time, a half an hour, on White Plains Road from the library to Lake Isle. I'll make a motion to approve same and waive the application fee and ask for a second, please.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcocia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next in correspondence, I have memorandum from the controller on our budget transfers and revisions. We have them received by the board. Someone care to make a motion to approve same?
So moved.
All right, I'll second same. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcocia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next is a memorandum from the controller on a single part-time seasonal employee gearing up for our basketball season. Someone care to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcocia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next is a memorandum from the Superintendent of Parks and Recreations on the CSE Community Service for the Elderly Transportation Contract for the period of April 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2024. This is basically to get some sums for the town program, which is our transportation program for our seniors. It's $20,756, and our amount that we contribute is $8,896. So someone authorized me to execute the agreement with Westchester County Department of Senior Programs for the transportation services.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcocia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next is a similar memorandum from the Superintendent of Parks and Recreation for the approval of the WIN, Wellness in Nutrition, and NSIP, Nutrition Services Incentive Program, contracts between the Town of Eastchester and Westchester County Department of Senior Programs and Services for the 23-24 year, and this is for the sum of $50,559. And $43,815 is for WIN, and $6,744 for the NSIP program. This is for, for seniors, for feeding the seniors at the center. Someone care to make a motion?
So moved. Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcocia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next is a memorandum from the police chief on the approval of the intermunicipal agreement between the town of Eastchester and Westchester County Department of Emergency Services for mobile radios. And this is basically to provide the town of Eastchester with a sufficient number of mobile radios. It's no charge to the town of Eastchester. And this is for the MARS system. It's the Mutual Aid Radio System. And it's so that interagency communications can occur when there are events or occurrences that cross over municipal lines. So it's a countywide communication system, basically, and it doesn't cost us anything. It enables us to be right up to, cutting edge with regard to timing and communications. So someone care to approve this, or make a motion, I should say?
So moved. I'll second it.
All right, thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Marcocia?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. Next, we have the last item on our correspondence, and that's to set a public hearing for the 2024 budget for Tuesday, December 5th, 2023, at 7 p.m. here in our meeting room. I'll make the motion for the public hearing, set the public hearing, and ask for a second, please.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicholson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Marcotte?
Aye.
Councilman Dooley?
Aye.
Councilman Markocha?
Aye.
Supervisor Calavita?
Aye. There being no miscellaneous business, we'll move to council member reports. Councilman Markocha.
Thank you, Supervisor. I just wanted to announce that the Eastchester Community Action Partnership is having its annual Martin Luther King breakfast again in January. This is after taking a 2-year absence due to the COVID pandemic. They're currently in the planning stages of it. It's always a great event, and they're very happy to be welcoming that breakfast back again this coming year. That's all I have.
Councilman Dooley.
Mr. Supervisor, I have no report, but I just want to congratulate the winners of the elections yesterday, the local elections, including my 2 colleagues on the board here, the supervisor and Sheila Marcotte. That concludes my report.
Congratulations for town clerk spot.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Nicholson.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Library News this week, we have tomorrow Teen Advisory Board, and they're looking for join the Teen Advisory Board meeting where you could offer suggestions on future teen programs. This meeting will be followed by some board games, funds, and registration is required. Also, we have at the library Sunday, November 12th, Sue Altman with the Rijks Museum, and this program highlights the wonderful contribution of the 17th century Dutch Golden Age with artists such as Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Hals, all housed in this beautiful Amsterdam museum. And also, this is a Zoom event, and registration is required. And of course, you could go to the Eastchester Library website at eastchesterlibrary.org. And also upcoming is the Cookbook Club on Monday, November 13th at 7 p.m. And this is open, free. Feel free to make a recipe to share with your group. Sounds like a fun event. And also they have a teens cookie decorating event on Tuesday, November 14th at 4 p.m. And then they do have their ongoing programs, Game Day, Knitwit, Crochet with Faith. Again, you can find more information online. There is a library board of directors meeting. All are welcome to come this Wednesday, November 15th at 6:30 p.m. And the Eastchester High School Players Club, the play that goes all wrong, is coming up next weekend. And if you are interested, you could go to eastchester.booktix.net to purchase your tickets. Should be a fun one. And the Eastchester Rotary Interact Club is having a coat and blanket drive for the midnight run on Saturday, November 18th. And so that will be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And one more is the introducing Creative Bug. Thanks to the Friends of the Library, Eastchester Library card holders now have exclusive access to Creative Bug. All you need is a card to screen thousands of online art classes taught by recognized design experts. And again, you could go to www.eastchesterlibrary.org, and that is all I have this evening.
All right. Councilwoman Marcotte.
Thank you, Supervisor. I, too, would like to congratulate my many colleagues in government, Anthony Giacobbe, who ran for election, and he will be joining the board in January, and the many people across Westchester County, as well as the participants who participated yesterday in free and fair elections, which we are very lucky and blessed to be able to conduct in this country, which would remind me to speak of our veterans. And so hopefully everybody will join us on Saturday, which is Veterans Day, of course, the 11th day of the 11th month, at the 11th hour. We will be joining our veterans here in Eastchester to thank them for their service and to show that we appreciate them for all they do in our community. So we invite the general public. We hope to see you there so we can show our respect for the men and women in the armed forces, both domestic and abroad and everywhere, so we can have these elections and free meetings. So that would conclude my report, Supervisor.
Sure, and that event will be taking at the community
sorry.
center at Lake Isle.
Yes.
Yeah, not at Memorial Park, up the street at the community center in Lake Isle. My own report, I would like to just recognize Dawn Donovan and her staff. The Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, which is a national organization, recognized the town of Eastchester and awarded them a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the fiscal year 2022. And that's, it's a nice feather in her cap. That means that everything that we provided to them was in perfect order. Everything was, in good order and easy to manipulate and go through and basically make their lives easier when they're checking us out. But it's the highest form of recognition that a governmental accounting agency can receive, and it speaks volumes to how that department is organized and how well it is run. So thank you very much, and congratulations on that. I just handed to the board members our tentative 2024 Town of Eastchester budget. And now this budget goes from the preliminary to the tentative. We're going to have a hearing, as you heard, on the 5th, and we'll have a workshop for Lake Isle. We'll have a workshop amongst ourselves, have a couple of public workshops. That always happens in between now and the approval process. But just generally speaking, the total budget for 2024 is $40,182,504. The townwide tax levy for 2024 is $4.2 million. The townwide meaning the villages and townwide, will generate a 5.59% property tax rate increase, which means that the average house in the village of Bronxville, with an average assessment of $21,650, will pay approximately $48 more per year, or $4 per month. And the average house in the village of Tuckahoe, with an increase with an average assessment of $7,300, will pay $16.21 more per year. That's $1.35 per month for the village of Tuckahoe residents. And just so we're clear, the average village resident, whether it be Bronxville or Tuckahoe, if you look at the totality of their tax bill, only 1 3/4 or less than 2% of that overall tax bill is payable to the town of Eastchester government. Yet for that, they have all of the town-wide services that they get. Further, for town outside, meaning town Eastchester, town outside of 2 villages, the average amount of taxes that you pay, the percentage is about 12.5% of the total of the bill that you pay. So, pound for pound, you get the most bang for your buck from the town government, and the 2 villages have a very modest dollar value increase for next year. With regard to the town outside, Eastchester, as Mr. Moses used to call it, there will be a 3.3% property tax rate increase, which means basically $7.55 more per month for the average house in the town of Eastchester. Now, I think it's also noteworthy to point out that though we're at 3.33% for the town of Eastchester outside of 2 villages, this is our starting point. Furthermore, the average town outside tax increase over the last 5 years has been less than 1%. So at this time that we're in, with this extraordinary, economy we have, I don't, people are predicting a deeper recession, a continuation of this crazy inflation. You have to be cautious when we do our calculations. Like, for example, in our revenues, we are keeping our revenues basically flat. It would be easy to increase the revenue projections because that brings the tax rate down, but it's irresponsible, because if we don't meet our tax revenue projections, we're going to have a big problem. We're going to have a big hole in our budget. So we are very conservative. That's why we have a AAA Moody's rating. That's why we have never exceeded the tax cap in 12 years since its inception. And that's why the New York State Comptroller's Office ranks us in the top 1% of best fiscally managed municipal governments in New York State. So, we try to do the best we can here, but in this present economy that we're in, it's a little bit challenging. Also, there are other things a little bit out of our control that we have to factor in too. For example, this year, there's a 10% increase in our liability insurance premium and workers' comp and disability. On top of that, we have a 15% increase levied by the state on our retirement system. And, in 2003, the retirement system contribution by the town of Eastchester was $105,000, okay? It was peanuts. Now, it's $3,183,000. It's an extraordinary increase over just, 2 decades. But we're obligated to pay that. Unfortunately, like I said, it's 15% up from last year. We have no choice in the matter. Though the state mismanages any funds that they're holding on, the Constitution of the state of New York provides that we as a town must make our pension recipients whole each year. So if the controller messes up, not his problem, it's our problem, and we got a 15% problem this year. But we're going to make ends meet. We're going to make sure that we made our obligations. Again, we could talk for a long time. The department heads, the board members. We're going to do this till we're throwing up budget. But for the most part, it's good. It's solid. Our fiscal responsibility has led us to be in a good spot. We are not using a lot of our reserves. Some places empty out the coffers every year. We're not doing that. We're saving money for a rainy day, and it's certainly going to be raining a lot more, I think, in the future. So that's our budget. We're going to have some workshops coming up. We're going to have our annual meetings with Lake Isle Advisory Board members to go over the rates at Lake Isle, which is doing well, thank heavens. The last couple of years, Lake Isle has been, sustaining itself and has been turning a profit, which is great news. But we're moving forward. The budget process begins right now, and we'll be having our hearing on December 5th. So with that being said, I also would close and recommend that at the end of this meeting that we rise for a moment of silence. We adjourn in the memory of Joe Luciano, who passed away yesterday at the tender age of 74. Joe worked in town government for almost 40 years. He was a terrific man. He had retired just a few years ago, and he was coach at Eastchester High School football team for decades, Pony Colt League coach. He was very much involved with all things Eastchester, and he was a terrific employee for the town. And also that we adjourn at that same moment of silence for all of the veterans that did their time protecting us and protecting our freedom that have passed away in the last year since last time we convened for Veterans Day. So with that being said, that concludes my report, and that moves us over to the second opportunity to address the board. Agnes? Yes. Yeah, just come to the mic if you don't mind. Thanks. Just give us your name and address. You know the drill. It's all right.
Agnes Holzberg, 47 Stratford Road, Scarsdale. In regards, what I wanted to talk about was we went to the traffic and safety meeting, the people in Green Knolls, because we're a little concerned about the Harney Road intersection. And I just kind of wanted to bring it to the town board regarding, we did find out that the intersection falls purely under the town of Eastchester, and it's not, we don't have to worry about MTA, we don't have to worry about being a county road. Also, there was some sort of engineering report done with safety improvements, but we didn't get any feedback as a neighborhood, and we're wondering what those safety improvements were for that Harney Road intersection. And then, is a traffic study needed, and when would that be expected? And our concern is we've had a few neighbors with some pretty bad accidents at that intersection.
Well, first of all, despite what the county says, they do not relinquish control of that intersection to the town of Eastchester.
They just said it wasn't under their jurisdiction.
I know that. And they tell that to everybody. When people call for Mill Road, when people call, or California Mill, when people call for Main Street in the town of Eastchester, in Waverly Square, they're famous for telling everybody, no, that's a town of Eastchester function. We have no control. We have no say in the matter until we make an application, and they tell us, you can't do that. It's our road. We own it. Yep. I'll give you an example. On Mill Road, there have been a couple of school crossing signs, electric school crossing signs, right? So we wanted to replace them. So we were advised that we couldn't do that until we got their permission after the engineers reviewed our application, because they own the road. When we were looking to put an arrow in at the corner of Mill and California, absolutely not. That's our road. You can't touch it. On Mill Road, we wanted to put some cross hashes on the townhouse at Lake Isle entrance. Absolutely not. That's our road. Don't you dare touch that. When we did the job, when we were involved with the county, when they did the intersection of Scarsdale and Harney, we had said to them, why don't we do this for the bus lane, let's do that for the arrow. Absolutely not. This is our job. You're not permitted to touch this job. And, you know, I've seen the quotes from the county personnel citing the county, you know, laws, and yet they still refuse to let us do what we want to do at those locations. So I don't want to call anybody a liar, but whoever's telling you that's lying to you, because we don't have any control over that situation. We've tried to assert control, and we've been told, it's a county road, back off. So notwithstanding that, we have requested engineering studies for when that road was done about 6, 7 years ago, because we had wanted to make a right-hand turn lane to go up Downer and into Scarsdale Road and have a little island in there to beautify and also to make it a safer turn, and that was flat out rejected, okay, by the county, not by us, by the county. And then we also wanted to reconfigure when you come down the bottom of the hill, down Downer and down to Scarsdale, you know, that entranceway right there is all cockeyed. So I don't know, it looks terrible, and I don't know how functional it is. Also, you know, we wanted to cut back all the bushes and trees on the other side of the street where the railroad track bridge ends and the road begins, because that's like a blind corner right there. So, you know, I think Lisa Graff, our Lieutenant Lisa Graff, is handling this, reaching out with the county and all. So we're supposed to be getting their studies, okay? Once we get them, we're going to look them over and see what they have to say, and then we should clarify this issue with them, because I'm tired of battling people who call the county. The county says, Eastchester can do whatever it wants, you know, and that's not the case. Yes, we put new sidewalks in, we do all the curbing, and we do the traffic lighting, but, you know, we can't do anything without their express approval because they own that roadway. And Kevin Roseman, who was recently retired, was a zealous advocate of, you know, property rights with the county. So, you know, we'll get past that hurdle and figure it out. But I think Lieutenant Graff had an excellent suggestion about these lights that you install upon the area that are triggered by motion and, you know, clearing vegetation. Like, she has it pretty well thought out. So, you know, we're going to have a tilting of the swords with the county, and hopefully it's quick and painless, and then we figure out it's their responsibility or ours. If it's ours, we're going to act on it right away. The lights are not cheap. They're about $20,000 a piece, but, you know, if people are getting, you know, at risk there, and kids especially going across the street to go to the park there, you know, we need to take care of that.
Right.
So that's kind of where we are.
We have quite a few people that obviously walk to train.
To train, right, of course.
And I've walked there myself. The lights change really quick. There's like, and almost the walk and don't walk, I don't believe has a countdown, so you know how many seconds you have left to get across the street.
13.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was,
okay.
yeah.
But
Not a lot.
I don't think, yeah, it's not, it's quick. I don't know if there's actually a countdown that you can see. I think it just flashes, but I don't know. But anyway, it's just, and I don't think all the traffic stops at once, like coming down towards the parkway stays green longer. And then I think that's a surprise for pedestrians too.
Well, you know, just as a minor example, several neighbors said, can we add left-hand turn arrows coming from the parkway, going up Harney before you get to the light, not the Garth Road light, the light at Scarsdale. Right. And I said to Kevin, I said, let's put up 4 or 5, you know. No, absolutely not. You know, and we had to pull teeth to get them to add one, you know, goddamn white painted arrow. You know, it was ridiculous. So, you know, that's what we're up against there. And I don't understand it, but, you know, I don't know why you would, if it's a left-hand dedicated lane, there's no purpose served in not addressing the arrows. So, but that's what we have to deal with there. But, you know, Lisa's on it. We'll remedy the situation and get it resolved. Because I know a lot of people do. They like to walk to the restaurants down there, too. The 808, they go down to the, you know, they'll place a new place down there. So, you know, it's a very popular intersection. We've got to make sure it's squared away.
Okay, is there something we should do as a neighborhood to assist this?
Well, I think if we can sit down and have maybe a powwow with the county, that would be great. But they're not fond of meeting. You know, they're like, you know, sequestered in their offices in White Plains. But I think I can get somebody there at some point, maybe just yourself or maybe the president of the association. We can sit down and go over a couple things.
Yeah, because if you tell us where to be, we will be.
Yeah.
And make a presence.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Agnes.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good, good.
Michael McLaughlin, 22 Crawford Street, as you all know. Just wanted to follow up. I know, last town board meeting, there was talk of some work being done, potential meetings with relevant parties. I know Supervisor Colavita, you sent me an email a few weeks back saying that there was going to be a potential meeting on November 1st or 2nd.
6th,
Okay.
Monday.
So
They had their meeting.
they had it. Okay. So that was with all the various engineers,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
I'm sorry, you finish your statement. I don't want to interrupt you.
Nope, that's fine.
You know,
Just wanted to see where that stood and which parties were involved in that meeting.
Yeah, on Monday,
Okay.
the town engineer, the village engineer, and, who else? Mr. Latello was out sick. This cold that last like 2 weeks went through Eastchester Town Hall, so everybody's sick as a dog. I was out for a while myself. I think the village manager, but all the important people that had to be there were there. They met Monday, they reviewed all their stuff. We have asked them to meet every 2 weeks on schedule to make sure that it advances. Also, they did their borings. The borings were done, so they're doing all the calculations on, now's when they start to do their analysis. And we had talked about getting together after that meeting.
Yes.
So if you can, maybe we'll just email each other or just,
Yeah.
call the office. I'm easier with phone, so much easier for
Okay.
me. Just call. We'll get together at some point, probably next week is best.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do is get you guys together, maybe bring the 2 engineers in, and kind of just describe what their plan is, because they want to get some steps done, before an overall, monster project. They want to just show you what they're going to want to do, and, of course, let you know what's happening so that you can figure out, when you see stuff going on, you know what's happening.
Right. That's what we're concerned about, because we have seen, I know my neighbors, the Neilises, have noticed some work going on down at the dog park. I don't know if that's related to this. There's been some drilling equipment and stuff like that.
Right, those are the borings,
okay.
and I don't think they've done the percolation test, but the borings are what they're looking to see. Because, again, it all depends upon compaction rates and absorption of water. All that stuff all has to be calculated by these guys. But that's what they were doing. So they're advancing. But I think what we're looking to do is get some water off the street right away.
Right,
What can
and
we do?
that's our concern too, because
Exactly.
I think I've mentioned this to a couple of you, and we've certainly talked about it amongst us. A lot of it. What's frustrating from our perspective, specifically for 22 and 24 Crawford, is that seemingly it feels like the amount of water we get. Sean and I did a calculation of this, just a rough calculation based off of something we found on the internet, a amount of water that was in our properties on the storm on September 29th. And we came to a conservative estimate of over 250,000 gallons. And that was conservative. And I think I had an engineer at my house in October of 2018, a month after the first time we had this event, and when I've been at the property, and I'm pretty sure he estimated that it was like 300,000 for my property alone. So, we were just trying to gauge it for our own knowledge. But the amount of water that we take on as a result of everything in the neighborhood, whether that's Iona, who is a huge issue here, who doesn't seem to want to engage with you all or us at all anymore, and the fields there, and everything else from Rose and other properties in the neighborhood, the amount of water we get, there's just nothing that can be done in the near term that we can do ourselves. Feels like a lot of our neighbors are able to find a short-term solution where they get a little bit of relief. We just don't have a relief valve. There's nothing that can be done. I mean, that amount of water, like we talked about last time, we need those hydraulic pumps that the Bronxville school has to get it away from our house. That's how much water there is. So that's where we come from. It's just extremely disheartening. To go through this again, and have to worry about it every time. I know there's a plan in place. I know that that's not going to be corrected right away, but just to know what's going on a little bit more is what I need to know, because for us, we look around and people who did not get the amount of water, yes, they dealt with water, did not get the amount of water we do, seemingly can have little fixes here and there. We need an enormous fix. Again, I think we've mentioned this before. There's, myself and 24 Crawford would be open to, potential easement in our backyards to feed water out the back end, because that's where all the water comes down from the drain that's in my yard that Rocco and his team know about and have inspected. Sheila and Luigi have seen it as well. So that's kind of where we come from. I appreciate that work is starting to be done, but we would love to be included in those meetings and potentially have a further discussion, even walk you around the property, just show you what we're dealing with. But, that's pretty much it from me.
Yeah, I've been to your home. I haven't had the temerity to go in your backyard, because I don't know if you have a big dog or not. And
We
all
don't,
of us
so-
that campaign know that you go where you're not supposed to go, and there's a
The only
pit
thing
bull
you
in the
have to worry
backyard.
about in my house is my kids hitting you with a lacrosse ball.
Yeah, that's not so bad. I've been hit with many of them from my kids. But, yeah, we're going to connect. We're going to put a
Okay.
meeting together so you guys can get short-term, long-term plan, and then these guys are meeting every 2 weeks to bring this to a head.
Yeah, and
So-
even if they need me at one of those meetings, I can.
Absolutely, no.
Obviously, I have a job, but if I
You're
can
the
go every
historian there.
once in a while, like work from home on a Monday or whatever day of the week it is, go every other meeting, something like that. Like I'm available for that, just to help push the process along.
You got it. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
very
you so much.
Thank you. Okay, would everyone please rise and join me in a moment of silence for Joe Luciano and our veterans that have passed this year? God bless them all. Thank you very much, all. We're adjourned.